upper and lower bracket this time around. I don't believe we had one last split. Not super sure, but I think it's really cool because it just really rewards these first and second seeds in the groups to really push for taking these seeds. And here we are.
Yeah, here we are indeed. Now, I believe this is actually the first season. I know you're kind of saying maybe. I think this is the first one where we do have the upper and lower brackets. So this is the upper bracket. So we should have the cream of the UJL crop in here, and we do have some good teams here. World Class Blank, obviously 6-1 through regular season, very solid performance. Omega Gaming Banditos 5-2, tied for first, I believe, in their division. So ideally, these are the best of the best coming up against each other right here at the beginning of the tournament and should give us a good idea about how things will develop down the line. Now, we will be hopping into Champ Select here very shortly. So what are we kind of expecting to see the priority picks from these teams?
Yeah, I mean, for Omega Gaming Banditos, I'm really looking for very strong bot lane drafts as far as just hard focused on lane phase, not so much on uh, just looking for engage, but a lot of kiting compositions in that duo lane with the Ashe, the Caitlyn, the Zyra Morgana, just all about all in into that lane power. While on the flip side, I'm looking for class Blank to ban some of these mage supports, like the Zyra and the Morgana, because Blue Caboose really loves his engaged melee supports, and they just do not get to play League of Legends against champions like the Morgana and the Zyra.
Yeah, indeed. And of course, as we're talking about it, World Class Blank, we have started up the pick ban phase, and World Class Blank say, we don't want that Morgana, take that off the table, right off the board. Meanwhile, Omega Banditos, they are going to take the Graves, and looking like the Varus, they'll take that away as well. World Class Blank fire back with the Vladimir. Rapid fire on the bans here. Both these teams know exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah, and for World Class Blank, they actually really enjoy running a lot of AD mid along with uh, magic damage junglers. In fact, AM Trick has been really focused on picking a lot of AP junglers. So we might see some Galio end up coming out for Cool Crab in order to really just absorb the double AP mid jungle duo. Of course, that really just depends on what we see locked in for the jungle pick.
Yeah, definitely. As World Class Blank, they say they want the Syndra. Alex Carino does play that a decent amount, and that's a pick away from Cool Crab, who has played Syndra a couple of times here, in solo queue at least. Meanwhile, Omega Bandito say the set is going to be open. They will lock that. I would expect that to go to Blood King up in the top lane. He does enjoy these sort of bully picks up there, but going to be sitting on the last pick here. Wouldn't be surprised. Actually, that is the Shen lock-in, so interesting now to see where the set will end up going.
Yeah, and I mean, at the same time, the Shen, while it should go into the hands of Blood King, he's been the only player to really play Shen at the same time. We can't really say for sure. It could still go into the support role because we know it's going to be a melee matchup most likely in that bottom lane, and Shen does thrive in those melee matchups as well. So a pretty nice open-ended opening first phase for Omega Banditos, and then they round out that first phase with the Ezreal. Um, we've we still see a whole lot of Philios Ezreal matchup, and there's really mixed results. On the one hand, you talk about the Ezreal in, well, if he goes blue build, he's able to really keep the Philios away from range because he just kites him out. On the other hand, a Philios just gets a free lane phase, and the fact that he can just farm and scale up to those two items where he really does come online.
Right, going to be having to wait out the bot lane here. So pretty stable picks. And Omega Banditos round out their bans here in the second phase with the Lulu and the Karma taking those away. And World Class Ego, they do get a chance to attempt to ban away the mid lane pool here from Cool Crab, who has played so many champions. I feel like it has to be a fruitless endeavor, but they're going to take out the Azir and the Zoe, who they know they don't want to see. And of course, Omega Banditos say the Galio, as you mentioned, really solid pick into the Syndra. So World Class Ego back over to them for a support and a jungle pick. What are we looking for them to maybe pick up here?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're most likely looking at the support right here and give themselves a little bit of extra time. The Nautilus is still available. The Braum uh, is also still available. His two most played champions, and he will indeed lock in that Nautilus. So now we're going to be looking at what this jungle pick could be. And I mean, he still has plenty of options. Sure, the Graves and Echo have been denied in the ban phase, but you still have things like the Shyvana that he plays quite a bit, and something like the Silas. Instead, they're going to settle for Olaf, so giving you a little more early game flair here. I think it really plays well with the Syndra. Now, as far as combining with the other two lanes, that can definitely be a question. But we'll get to see how the bot lane ends up shaping out here because Omega Banditos, they have a lot of flexibility with this last pick. They can go for a support, they can go for a jungler, they can go for a top laner, and they will lock in the Ivern jungle.
Yeah, really interesting pick here out of Slacking. So actually, checking chat here, that is actually supposed to be the Trundle pick. Looks like there
Oh,
was a bit of
okay.
a misclick there. So Trundle Jungle is a little bit less exciting than the Ivern, unfortunately, but it is more up Slacking's wheelhouse. It will be really effective into the super tank that is Ornn, the Nautilus, the Olaf. No shortage of things he can go after. But that does leave us with the question of how everything is shaping up. I would assume the Shen is going to be in the bottom lane as the support then. And as you mentioned, still good into the melee support matchup.
Yeah, and there still could be some options. Trundle top lane has been played by Blood King, and it is a pretty solid matchup into the Ornn because of the fact that you can interrupt his charge with your own pillar, since your pillar is instant. And then you also have the ultimate to really just strip away the resistances onto the Ornn. So there still is a lot of things that need to be clarified when we actually get to see these picks locked in.
Yeah, lots of flexibility here. And I do think World Class Ego, a really solid draft that came up with a lot of things they wanted at the end of the day. But that did give Omega Banditos the ability to say, yeah, sure, we'll give you the Cinder, we'll give you the Aphelios, and look for the counter picks here. So how do you think the composition that Omega Banditos has drafted is going to stack up versus World Class Blank once we hit the Rift?
Yeah, so Omega Banditos have a lot of global pressure with this composition. They have the Shen, they have the Ezreal ultimate, they also have the Galio ultimate. So we're expecting a lot of fast-paced action once they do hit that level 6 breakpoint. Now, for world class, it really comes down to attacking these lanes pretty aggressively because you have the Nautilus that isn't necessarily going to scale as well as any of the support possibilities on Omega Banditos, to be honest. And then you're also going to have the Syndra Ornn that also really just want to abuse their lane matchups and set up ganks for this Olaf as much as possible.
Yeah, so trying to play the early game then for World Class Blank. And we do finally have confirmation up here that is going to be Blood King on the Shen like we thought, but that does mean that it's going to be Ahop taking the set into the support position. So I know we talked a little bit about how the Shen versus Nautilus lane is going to go, but how is the set Nautilus lane a little bit different?
Yeah, so set support actually got introduced in pro play as a counter to things like the Nautilus and the Braum. So, and it really just comes down to the fact that he does true damage, which punches through the aftershock onto a Nautilus, and you can just constantly go for trades. You just do more damage than a Nautilus. That's pretty much the verdict at the end of the day, and you still have the engage power from the face breaker to gap close onto the Nautilus, deny his engage, and also get onto the Filio. So there's definitely a lot of power in this set pick, but I don't know how it combines with the Ezreal.
Yeah, Ezreal obviously a bit more of a scaling pick as we were kind of talking about with the set who wants to fight, so maybe a bit at odds with each other. Maybe Omega Bandito's getting a little too clever with their draft, but still a good pick into the Nautilus, like you talked about a little bit there. And I think at the end of the day, we have to be looking at the junglers here to try and set their teams up for success. Trick maybe trying to get their team off to a lead at the start of the game versus Slacking, who's just trying to make sure that Trick stays under control.
Yeah, and my big gripe with the composition drafted by Omega Banditos is the fact that, yes, you have a lot of flexibility in how this draft ended up panning out, but then you look at the damage profile. Galio's a pretty low damage mid laner, so you really want to pair it up with some sort of hyper carry. And then you look at your hyper carry options. There really isn't one. Ezreal does damage, but that's over a very long time frame, and by that time, the damage from the Syndra and the Philios, they should just be able to overwhelm the front line from Omega Banditos, and in addition, it really is just Ezreal and 4 tanks.
Yeah, so Ezreal and 4 tanks versus the diverse damage pool that World Class Blank are bringing out should be exciting to watch. And one quick question before we hop into our spectator delay, of course, Nightstar. Who do you think came out better on the draft? Who do you think is going to come out with game number 1 win here?
I definitely think it is a World Class Blank that came out on top in this draft phase. They got all the power picks, and they scale fairly decently, except for maybe the Olaf. But I mean, by that time, everyone else is in such a great spot that it shouldn't really matter.
Shouldn't really matter indeed. We will have to find out. We're going to hop onto a quick spectator delay intermission here, folks, so don't go anywhere. But first, before we go away, we're going to talk to you guys a little bit about our sponsor, Sector 6.
Started with a vision of quality, a vision of uniformity. We took the time to create something familiar yet refreshing. Something with a bit of change.
Designed to fit any brand's unique vision.
Welcome to the Rift, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for game one between world-class Blank and Omega Banditos here. Of course, on the blue side, we do have world-class Blank with Ezregus up in the top lane, Trick in the jungle, Alex Carino, the mid laner, and Navy Caboose and Blue Caboose down at AD carry and support.
And over on the flip side, we've got Omega Gaming Banditos with Blood King in the top lane, Slacking in the jungle, Cool Crab in the mid lane, Civil, and A-Hop to round it out in the bottom lane.
Yeah, so both these teams here, a very passive start, just getting that 5-man fan, which we've come to know and love. Actually, a bit of a delayed invade as AM Trick lands the first undertow. Might try to go for something on the Slacking, but no damage to come through. So just some early vision. And again, round one of the playoffs here for both these two teams. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit of nerves here going into this first game.
Yeah, certainly. That usually will play a factor in teams wanting to play it safe, not really going for super aggressive level ones as far as looking for a fight. It's really just about garnering vision, making sure everyone gets to play their lane phase out. And I mean, this composition from Omega Gaming, they've got a lot to do. And yes, they have the tools to do it because of the global pressure with the Shen and the Galio. But it really just comes from at level 6, we have to see them just hard diving bot lane.
Yeah, we were talking about a little bit in Champ Select, of course, with the scaling and their inability to really make things happen, but the globals will have to translate, looking for plays with the Stand United. But also interesting to note, both these lanes, their opponents can interrupt their ultimates, which could potentially stifle any engages they try to go for once that level 6 does come through.
Yeah, they will certainly have to play pretty careful here. But I mean, it is just the risk that if you are on the side of the Banditos, you just have to find a way to force these plays. And one of the... Oh, okay, we could see something.
Yeah, speaking of forced play, Slacking coming down towards the bottom side of the map. This is going to be the pullback from A-Hop, but Blue Caboose, he gets that anchor all the way into the wall, is forced to flash at the end of the day, but gets out with his life. Good early gank there from Slacking.
Yeah, very good early gank here, and there's still the flash available onto A-Hop, which means that they are going to indeed be able to play very aggressive to try and capitalize on that missing flash. Although, an interesting thing to note, we did discuss it during the loading screen, is the fact that A-Hop isn't running the phase rush, which means that he won't be able to get access to the Nimbus Cloak Hex Flash combination, although he still could have Hex Flash.
Yeah, so giving up potentially on some of that set pressure you get from having those two keystones. Now, does have Aftershock, which we did mention is going to be better for lane, but maybe a little bit less pressure in the later stages of the game, a little bit less playmaking. As we actually have a bit of a scrap up here on the top side. Ezregus finds out Slacking, as Blood King is just going to dash to safety. The roam came through from Trick and Alex Carino, but they're not going to find anything. So far the early pressure is in Slacking's favor as he comes up with the crab.
Yeah, and this is pretty solid news for Omega Gaming. They just have to keep on applying this pressure. And, you know, Trundle is one of probably the better junglers to do so, because you are very... you're not very farm dependent, and you can just constantly run up and down the river and just throw pillars to try and burn flashes.
Yeah, and if we look at the team composition here, the world-class Blank have not a lot of mobility to be had. I think the only person who even remotely can get out of the pillar is Ezregus, because he can just destroy it with the E. But that means that the rest of the team, a Trundle pillar comes down, you're blowing a summoner spell, and that gives Slacking so much leeway here. So we'll have to keep our eyes on him as the game progresses.
Yeah, and the mobility certainly is something to keep in mind. And that's probably one of the only things they've got going for them, for the side of Omega, is the fact that, well, if you are able to hit someone with a well-placed pillar, they don't have any other tools to outplay it besides just expending that flash. And even some of their gap-moving tools, such as the Nautilus hook and the Orange Charge, I mean, you can just face plant yourself into a pillar.
Not very pleasant, as actually we see a 3-man rotation here on the bottom side. This is going to be world-class blank, starting up this early Infernal Drake, which does give percentage AD and AP, so won't be that effective in the early stage of the game, but still really nice if they can secure it early. Slacking not even remotely in the area, so they will concede that. An good early pickup here for world-class blank, making use of that Olaf power.
Yeah, and the Olaf power is going to be important to keep note of because of the fact that he is going to be able to scrap pretty well against slacking on that trundle. So he might look for some aggressive invades to try and scout out where the trundle is. Either that or try and just get a kill onto him to just make it even easier for these lanes to continue to scale.
Yeah, speaking of the trundle, did try something there in the mid lane, but Alex Carino just giving the lane a shove and getting back out so he can get his items early on. I would assume sitting on the lost chapter, not quite, but working towards it here. So far, very quiet laning phase from both of these teams, with the exception of the one early gank, but level 6 is coming through. Blood King just now hit level 6. We'll have Stand United. Cool Crab, obviously, with the hero's entrance. Gonna have to see how Omega class Banditos will use these ultimates in order to make plays happen.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit concerned right now for Omega class. Of course, they are just waiting for that big level 6 play that we outlined earlier. But if you look at where the items are in this bottom lane, they haven't been able to abuse this flashless Nautilus quite yet with this set pick. And in fact, you see Ahop playing very defensively for the most part in this lane, and this just isn't how you should be looking to be playing the set support. He has to play up front, try and go for the engages every single time he has his abilities up, and now you're at this 7.5 minute break point. The Nautilus has his flash up, so even if you do go all in on this level 6, he has the flash to escape. And Navy Caboose has a pretty big item discrepancy in this 80 carry matchup.
Yeah, so a little bit of the early pressure wasted here from Omega Gaming Banditos, and we kind of talked about the set pick as well a little bit, and a little bit in Champ Select, and saying how Banditos might have gotten a little ahead of themselves in the draft. They might have been a little too clever in saying, we're going to take the set early and we're going to flex it to where it's needed. And now it's in the hands of Ahop, who has not played the pick, at least to our knowledge, in UJL. So is this a potential of, yeah, I've played it once or twice in solo queue, but I'm not skilled on the pick. I don't know how it should be played.
Yeah, and it does have some of those vibes here. And I mean, with the Aftershock, you just have to really abuse the fact that you have Aftershock rather than Phase Rush. And it looks like we have an Olaf in this bottom lane trying to match what looks like a possible gank from slacking. And it comes down to, does Galio leave lane?
Oh, here we go. Ahop goes in. He is going to get the tackle back through. Navy Caboose wants to play, but I don't think he's long for this world here. The pullback through comes through, but it's not enough. Slacking picks up first blood here. Now the Horn has come through, but it is a party on the bot side here. Good crowd control is coming through here. World-class blank playing very defensively here, trying to finish off these kills, but they're not able to quite get anything. Finally, Blue Caboose is going to take down Cool Crab. A couple flashes come through as Regis gets the slow here from Volcanic Rupture, but can't quite close it out. Blood King running for his life. Blue Caboose looking for the dredge line, but it's going to be dashed away. At the end of the day, a 3-for-1 trade in favor of World Class Blank.
And this is what we were talking about. The side of Omega Gaming just had to pull the trigger on that level 6 play. And it was just so telegraphed. You had double teleports available on both of the solo laners. You had Trick in the bottom lane. They knew it was coming, Hellmites, and they read them like a book. And if feels really bad to say that it might be over at just 10 minutes into the game, but your first Hail Mary play, or your composition is basically an all-in comp, and you miss your first all-in play.
Yeah, did not quite happen there, Nightstar, and we kind of touched on it a little bit in the Champ Select, but when you draft this comp with the all globals looking for the play on the bot side, everyone knows what you're going to do, so the rotations were there, Trick made it happen, Alex Carino and Ezregus both have the TPs, and they come out on top of what was Omega Gaming Banditos play. So now, with the gold lead in their favor, how are World Class Blank going to translate this into further game pressure?
Yeah, I mean, they don't even need to really hard force anything. World Class Blank, they are perfectly comfortable and just continue to scale. Get that first item onto the Philios, because now you're looking at again, still a very large item discrepancy in this bottom lane as far as damage goes. Yes, you want Manamune, but A-Hop, he's...
Oh, he went a little aggressively here. He was going to get
okay.
through with a face breaker, but doesn't matter. Nady Caboose takes him down. A-Hop, he heard us talking. He said, fine, I'll play aggressive. And he gets punished for it. Now Nady Caboose is just running down Civil. So much damage, forcing that flash out of the Ezreal. Oh my goodness, they're already looking in fine form.
Yeah, and A-Hop just says, okay, well, you said that I need to be aggressive. I'm going to go aggressive here. But when we mean aggressive, we mean not running under tower. Buddy. You do not win those.
Yeah, tower versus support. I think the tower is going to win almost every time. And that will be the Cloud Drake going over as well to World Class Blank. So stacking up those Drakes already and into an Ocean Rift, which is not super relevant here, but actually flash away. Alex Carino in the mid lane. Cool Crab will come through, but actually misses out on the knockup. So Alex Carino now walks out. Pillar pops him on the wrong side of the map, but Trick is there. And that is a couple desperation plays here from Omega Gaming Banditos, and they don't come up with anything.
Yeah, it's definitely a rough start here for their playoff run. And yeah, I mean, on the flip side, World Class Blank looking absolutely fabulous. Just eating up all the playmaking shots coming in so far and really just dealing with them like a champ.
Yeah, so far very nicely done here, and now I gotta ask, of course, Omega Gaming Banditos, their big level 6 play, it didn't work out, but does that mean it's over for the comp, or do they have a chance to bring this back? And if so, how are they going to get this game back under control?
I think if they're going to swing the game back, I mean, it really just comes down to trying to, again, still play aggressive in making these roam plays. We do have both of the ultimates available here for our globals, and this is an opportunity. They have both their globals, and on the flip side, those solo laners do not have their teleports. This would be a most likely successful dive or force play if they decide to pull the trigger, and now it just comes down to getting their solo lanes in a position where they can come down into this bottom lane.
Yeah, now, important to note, though, because World Class Blank are playing around these globals pretty well. Blood King is actually stuck in the top lane with a bunch of gold in his pocket and no real way to get back because of Ezregus' shove. That is going to be Herald summoned in the mid lane again to prevent Cool Crab from doing anything. So World Class Blank might be reading the play fairly well, as turret is going to get smashed, and first turret goes the way of World Class Blank.
Yeah, now that they've lost that mid turret, it just makes it that much harder to find a way into or just finding open space to use that Galio ultimate, because they are going to get a little more control.
Here we go. We're going to get caught up here. The Stand United comes through into A-Hop. They're trying to go on to the Olaf. He's very tanky, but he does go down. Hero's entrance down the backside. They're on the Navy. Caboose, who's just going to go down. A-Hop takes him down with a haymaker, and now Caboose all by himself. Nowhere he can go. He gets dispatched. Alex Carino on the wrong side of the map. They know he's there, and they might look to try and run him down as he's attempting to get out. Actually, trying to shove in the wave, looking for the execute instead, but the rest of the team has stopped going for him, so World Class Blank, they do avoid giving over the kill, but there's the level 6 play that we wanted to see out of Omega Gaming Banditos.
Yeah, and they are able to get a pretty easy punish with the fact that AM Trick, not gonna lie, he was a little bit deep. Definitely a little bit too far, a little further than where he should have been, and as a result, they kind of just gift wrap that play for the side of Omega Gaming, and they capitalize. They get a very easy Galio ultimate channeled, and they again bring in the Shen as well. So really just using both of these ultimates when they have them together is still going to be pretty powerful.
Yeah, so the ultimate play finally does work, evens up the kill score, though. A 4,000 gold lead is still in the favor of world-class playing, so feeling okay on that regard. And teleports now, actually, Alex Carino's teleport not available here for potential future play. But that does give, I think, Omega Gaming Banditos a little bit more confidence in dealing with this game that looked like it was going out of their control for a bit.
Yeah, that's definitely something that is going to feel nice.
Flash expended from Blue Caboose doesn't get in for the root, so that's a bit of a missed play there, and now setting up for the Drake. Vision trying to get cleared out. A-Hop again will go into Trick, who's taking some damage. He's going to be forced to back off, chunk down quite low, and this is right before the Drake as well, so maybe a risky play here for World Class Blank.
Yeah, another thing to note is the fact that AM Trick is running the Warrior enchant Olaf, which means that he is going to be somewhat fragile here, as it looks like they are going to look for this Ocean Dragon, and this is a very important one for the side of Omega Gaming Banditos, because they just need to start stacking dragons, otherwise this game will just fall out of hand.
Flash forward into the showstopper from A-Hop. He's trying to go to Navy Caboose, who's still okay on the backside here. Blue Caboose only out the fight. AM Trick, meanwhile, just on the Drake. He's trying to take it down. Navy Caboose takes down A-Hop. He is still going on the front side here. The rest of the team is being forced to run away. Ezra gets low. He flashes out. The Drake goes down. That's going to be the Shen going down as well. Blood Team taken out. And now flash forward from the Olaf. He's Ragnarocking. He is going in. Slacking goes down. Olaf still running forward on 50 health. He does go down, but Navy Caboose picks up another one. 4 for 1. It's a massacre on World Class Blank. They get everything they wanted and then some.
And a massacre is right, because that was a 4v5 fight. You saw AM Trick. He was just busy just hacking away onto that dragon the entire time. So for the side of World Class, they were just playing that fight 4v5, but it's just such an easy fight when you have the Ornn and they are just 4 melee champions. They just cannot run into this Ornn without just getting multi-man knockup by that Ornn ultimate, and that's exactly what happens. Even though A-Hop gets a good ult, because he didn't have that aftershock, he just immediately pops.
Yeah, not tanky enough on that play, and not enough damage as well. You kind of saw how long Trick and Ezreal were able to go in that fight, despite being low health, because the Ezreal really the only damage source. We talked about that a little bit as well. Not enough to come through here, and now all of a sudden the gold lead blooming out to 6,000 gold. The towers are starting to stack up in World Class Blank's favor. And I think it's going to take another big multiple global play in order for Omega Gaming Banditos to find an opening.
Indeed, it will. But at 6,000 gold difference.
Oh, here we go. Alex
rough.
Carino forced to flash in the mid lane here. We'll use that Glogman. Slow up Cool Crab, but nothing else they can get from it. So a Summoner spell at least forced. Omega Gaming Banditos, they're not quite giving up on this, though they are trying to collapse on Alex Carino, who will get out.
Yeah, and I actually love this GLP buy here coming in from the Syndra, because it just accentuates the fact that, all right, well, what is your team composition? Your team composition is 4 melees. Well, if I have this GLP, you just cannot touch me, also because of the fact that I have the Phase Rush. So it's just an extra proc for the Phase Rush to help you get that extra move speed. And Alex Carino, I love this build.
Yeah, very smart build from the center, very heads up, knowing how to deal with this situation as the siege comes bot lane. Ezreal kind of by himself, but he won't get zoned out quite yet, so nicely done. And this is going to be the 5-man group on the bottom side of the map here. Might be looking to bully down the tower. Actually, recalls are going to be channeled, and the team will back out. Mega Gaming Banditos, what are their odds here if this game goes super late? Assuming they can stall out the game, how are they looking if they're able to make it to, let's say, 30-40 minutes?
Yeah, It is really tricky to see how this composition is able to actually get to that 30-minute breakpoint, at least in a comfortable fashion without the gold ballooning to, say, something like 10,000 gold. But at this point, I'd like to see a little more damage actually be built up by Blood Kings. Maybe go for that Tiamat into the Titanic Hydra, or maybe something into a Blade of the Rune King. Give your team another avenue of attack here, because team fights are going to be so difficult. They really have to try and capitalize on the fact that they have a global ultimate and a teleport on the Shen.
Yeah, so trying to get a little bit more damage in here. Looking to maybe try and equalize some things out, as we are going to be back into a lull state in the game. Of course, this is going to be a potential Drake Soul on the table here for World Class Blank, as that will be spawning in the next few minutes here. And I have to think World Class Blank say, we don't need to press super hard. We just have to wait for this to come up, take that fight, take the soul, and then end the game off the back of that.
Yeah, and Alex Karina is going to be matching this Shen at the moment here. And oh my god. Oh,
yeah, forced to flash away. Slacking takes a ton of damage, and he is able to get out, very fortunately. But that is going to be a flash expended on your jungler right before the Drake is spawning. So that's a huge disadvantage to have, to be down that cooldown, especially on an immobile champion like the Trundle. As here we go, Blood King. He is seen, and he's forced to dash away to safety as well. So this is, the Drake Pit belongs to World Class Blank. They're looking to set up for this the second it spawns. And if you're Omega Gaming Banditos, you have to press the go button, as Regus is actually caught out here. He's all by himself. He will be trying to get the damage through, but he is taking so much, will be forced to flash away to safety, but he goes down. That's a shutdown onto the Ornn, but it's too late. The Drake has already gone over, and now they're going to try to look to take the rest of the fight here. Maybe Caboose, he's in a safe spot, gets some damage through. Ezreal ultimate over the top does not do as much. Ash Trick lands some poke. And actually here onto the Ezreal. Cool Crab goes down here, and that is going to be Trick taking the kill on the Blood King here as well, slacking all by himself. He gets taken out. Sybil goes down. Double kill picked up here for the Aphelios. That's going to be everything that World Class Blank want, and they're going to run straight for the Baron.
I mean, it's really just an absolute slaughter. And now that they have this Ocean Soul, they're going to get Baron buff as well, and that's going to balloon them to a 10,000 gold lead. And, you know, this is all but done, Hellmite. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. Sorry, had to reset the audio there very quickly. We should be all synced up again, I hope. Back down to 23 on the dot here for producer. But that is going to be Baron taken. The Drake Soul, of course, was taken in that last fight. An ace came through onto Omega Gaming Bandito. They weren't able to get anything. So now forced into a terrible spot here, trying to defend the mid lane tower, and just, it's, I hate to say it's over, but Nightstar, what are you thinking for the chances for Omega Gaming Bandito to come back into this?
It is very, very small. And I mean, Civil, he's trying to compensate. He understands that he is the only damage dealing threat on his team, so he's gone for the Triforce build. But if you're looking to get maximum damage out of the Ezreal, and you are that late game damage, I would have liked to see something like a lethal tempo, and then you're able to really get those auto attacks going. But with the Conquer and the Triforce, I don't know if that's going to be quite enough damage to actually pull any of these fights back, because he has to, again, keep in mind, he has to contest with the Syndra. If the Syndra ever gets a hold of him, he's just immediately deleted with how far ahead everyone on the side of World Class Blank just is right now.
Yeah, very difficult spot if you are Civil, but they're doing the best they can. And I think at this point in the game, we can kind of talk a little bit about the compositions here and how much harder it is to play disengage than it is to play engage. As actually, speaking of engage, they are on to Navy Caboose here, who does get the dredge line assistance from his component Caboose, who does get thrown back in there, trying to peel back for Navy Caboose. He is actually going to take the kill here. Ahawk still trying to run him down, but gets taken out. Trick was able to run down the other member of the fight, and now Ezregus running down Civil, who's the only one left. He does get the Arcane Shift away to safety, but they're just going to run straight at him. Ragnarok now popped. Cool Crab is going to take some damage. He goes down. This has to be the game for World Class Blank. There's absolutely nothing that the Banditos can do, and I think a very solid Game 1 performance here from World Class Blank.
Yeah, you saw that the side of Omega Gaming were finally able to get that engage onto the Philios, but Ocean Soul's just too powerful at this point, and it's just going to be a very quick wrap at 25.5 minutes with a 15k gold lead. So if that's not a start to a series, I don't know what is.
Yeah, tremendous performance out of World Class Blank there, putting on a clinic for exactly how to counter that strategy that Omega Banditos were trying to bring out, and just running away with the game, stacking the Drakes, getting the Baron, and then ending it shortly thereafter. So very nicely done on their end. We're going to be hopping into a quick intermission as we set up for Game 2, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll have some more League of Legends action. Stay tuned. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're here getting set up for Game 2 of World Class Blank versus Omega Gaming Banditos. Obviously, a really impressive performance here from World Class Blank in Game 1. They knew exactly what the Banditos were trying for in draft. They played accordingly, and they were able to close that game off in 25 minutes, which is huge here, especially given that that's the very first playoff game that they've gotten to play in, and they just crushed the Banditos. So now going into Game 2, what kind of adaptations are we expecting to see the Banditos bring out in draft to try and regain the series, regain the momentum, and bring things back?
I think it just goes back to running some of your comfort picks. You are able to run. This team has built its identity really around playing winning bot lane matchups. And then here in game number 1, they fall back on this set Ezreal duo lane that doesn't have a whole lot of innate synergy. And even when they were gifted an early Nautilus flash, they just didn't press that advantage. They had the opportunity to just continuously bring down the Trundle, use that pillar, and use that set flash to just kill this Nautilus over and over again. And I really feel like they got a little bit cold feet knowing that it was a Diamond 4 player in that support role.
Yeah, so, and we did talk about it a little bit, and it doesn't come up a tremendous amount, but players have to be nervous. You're going into playoffs. You're going up against a really strong opponent. This is one of our higher rated matches. And especially knowing who the power players are on the enemy team, kind of looking at Blue Caboose and saying he's on his Nautilus, that's really scary to deal with. And instead of opting to say, nah, that's a Nautilus without a flash, that's an easy kill, maybe mental getting a little bit ahead of themselves and then not able to capitalize on that play. But now you're going into game 2, you have to be able to reset that mental, and you have to reset and try to figure some things out, especially in regards to how you're going to play now that they're on the blue side.
And they are going to have first pick here, so it'll be really interesting what they end up prioritizing. I think the Syndra pick would be pretty beneficial for them to allow them to get some of that mid pressure, to then allow maybe more of a mid jungle aggressive roaming duo. Whereas in the last game, while the Galio Trundle can definitely do that, and they should have looked to try to do that, if they just went into a 2v2 against the Syndra Olaf, the Olaf just does way too much damage early on, and the Syndra just packs that CC to really snowball that 2v2.
Yeah, so maybe looking to play a little bit more aggressively as pick ban is going to start up here. And I do expect these bans to come thick and fast here. The Banditos will take off the Graves and the Pantheon, same as they did previously. Meanwhile, World Class Blank, Vladimir, Morgana. Again, I don't expect a lot of adaptation here early on in the draft, but the interesting thing will be how things adjust once Omega Gaming Banditos get to make that first pick. And like you said, the Syndra may be that contested pick.
Yeah, Syndra is certainly one of those picks that, I mean, is still just very powerful. Sure, got a bit of a nerf this patch in the fact that her mana cost on her orbs do cost 20 more at level 1. And while it does scale down, it's still going to hurt you early on in just being able to get easy wave priority. That said, you hit level 9, you're still the same champion after that breakpoint. You can just delete people with your R button and just say outplayed in the alt chat.
Yeah, and actually, okay, that was a no ban, but that will be a Volibear ban here. So Volibear is off the table here in this game. The Varus is going to round out the bans as well from Omega Gaming Banditos, and they will opt for the Olaf first pick up here. So like we were talking about, the aggressive early mid-jungle duo, it may be on the table here for the Banditos, unless World Class Blank want to early pick that Syndra.
Yeah, and I think World Class, they'll opt to just grab that Syndra for themselves here. They also have the option to pick the Philios again as well, so they grab the Philios first. Thresh also an option here. I think it's a very good option. So you get the scaling, and then you also get just a very well paired support in the Thresh for the Philios.
Yeah, and having that lantern will give Navy Caboose a little bit more safety as well as that Olaf tries to run you down. Grab that lantern, get yourself out of danger. But Caitlyn here will be secured for Civil, who has played this a decent amount, so finally getting that pressure bot lane pick. And I would not be surprised to see A-Hop grab that Zyra. It probably should have come out in game one. We were talking about a little bit, but there is the potential to throw it out for game two. You do have the plants, you do have the harass, and it does give them some magic damage. There's the hover. I wouldn't be surprised if this gets locked in, as A-Hop does favor this pick.
Yeah, and I'm actually surprised that they locked in the Caitlyn here. I would have thought that they would have gone for the Syndra Zyra combination and fall back on something like an Ashe or the Caitlyn in that second phase, or just look for the Ashe pick here instead of the Caitlyn, because of the fact that you have just such high harass potential with that combination. And then you also have the alt combinations. The Ashe alt extremely powerful with the Olaf as well, because it just allows him to run forward and catch people out. Whereas the Caitlyn really feels like it needs to snowball here. So this is going to be a really big test for the team of Omega Gaming.
And we'll have to see how they execute on that bottom lane. As the second phase bans are coming through, World Class Blank, they take the Echo and the Galio off the table. Does make sense. They want to prevent that comp from being played again. The Echo, of course, makes a lot of sense against Slacking, who really does favor that pick. Meanwhile, Omega Gaming Banditos, they take off the Kindred, which I don't believe Trick has played it a couple of times throughout this throughout the regular season, so does make sense. And the Trundle banned out as well. Now, World Class Blank, they do have the first pick coming out of this. Would expect to see their jungle pick and sit on that top laner for last.
They certainly could, but I think the Ornn pick, because it gets left open, is just a clear case to get locked in, especially with Omega Gaming banning away the Trundle. There's just no answer for this Ornn. So while Omega Gaming, they can play more of a win lane style with whatever they decide to lock in for top, it isn't going to stop the scaling power that again comes through on the side of World Class Blank with the Ornn, Aphelios, and the Syndra. They're going to just go ahead, handshake that matchup, give themselves a Maokai. So they add their own big hyper tank here, but what I'm seeing here is a little bit lack of a mid game, because the Caitlyn does hit that mid game trough. The Olaf, if he doesn't get snowballed early, he's going to hit that mid game trough as well. And while the early game is there and sort of the late game is there, the mid game is very contingent on a lot of things rolling right for them.
Yeah, but Omega Gaming Banditos, they say they want the Ziggs pick here for Cool Crab in the mid lane, which does really reinforce this as sort of a siege comp, a sort of harass comp, as with the Zyra, the Ziggs, the Caitlyn. There is so many skill shots going to be coming at you in the mid game sieging potential, but World Class Blank, they say, hey, we see you guys don't want to fight us until you poke us down. We're going to lock in some more initiation, and they're going to pick up the Jarvan the Fourth here for Trick in the jungle.
Jarvan does get locked in and offers them some lockdown for these fairly immobile carries. Also allows them to play a little more aggressively during this lane phase as well, being able to gank with that Jarvan flag and drag. I am a little bit concerned about Jarvan and the fact that he's going to be engaging these mid-late game fights against the Zyra Maokai, which is incredibly annoying to deal with as a Jarvan and pretty much guarantees that you will die every single time. But again, the damage could just be non-existent for this Omega Gaming roster in that mid-game, that the Jarvan is more than comfortable in jumping it.
Yeah, but I do think we have to give Omega Gaming Banditos a little bit of credit here, as they have drafted slightly more for the early game. That was a criticism we had of their previous draft, that it just was going to take so long to scale, and even when you did scale, it was just the Ezreal dealing damage. This time around, you have the Olaf to try and give you some early game pressure. Caitlyn Zyra, of course, is a really great harass lane. Even if your Ziggs and your Maokai aren't going to necessarily win lane, you can equalize it, and that gives them a good amount of ability to maybe win the early game against World Class Blank and not give up another 25-minute loss.
Yeah, I mean, I think this game for Omega Gaming, if the Olaf doesn't really snowball ahead, it really just comes down to the Zyra pick, getting really comfortable through this lane phase, hitting her Leandries as fast as possible. And with the Leandries, you do have a pretty strong mid game in the fact that if Jarvan jumps in, he should get deleted by the Zyra plants in the ultimate. However, Ornn should be rushing magic resistance this game, given the fact that he is into a Maokai. So Ornn will be fairly difficult to kill in the mid game because you are running somewhat triple magic damage in the Zyra Maokai Ziggs.
Yeah, so a very comfortable pick here for Ornn, and I think fairly easy itemization to sort of extend on that point here. But to kind of go back to a previous point here, you mentioned for Omega Gaming Banditos, they wanted to go back and play some comfort picks. They wanted to play things that they knew how to play in order to bring this back. And I think they've done that so far. Slacking has played a ton of Olaf. Cool Crab has at least one game on Ziggs, so is no stranger to that pick. Sybil, ton of games on Caitlyn. A-Hop, ton of games on Zyra. They basically took exactly what you said, Nightstar, and they went with it for this draft.
Yeah, and in that regard, I do like the fact that they went, okay, well, maybe it's not the optimal OP composition, but for us, this is the these are champions that we do like to run. So with that additional comfort, I do expect to see a much better performance in this game number 2.
Yeah, so maybe looking for the comfort that'll help even them out, especially after that game 1 loss here. And now again, obviously we've seen a lot versus Jarvan the 4th lanes previously in LCS, but I do want to talk about that a little bit here because Trick, again, is going to have to play the same role that the Trundle did in the previous game, which is stopping the Olaf from running away with the game. And how effective is Jarvan at doing that, knowing that Slacking is on his Olaf?
Well, he does have pretty good setup in the fact that he has an Ornn, Syndra, and a Philios Thresh. So there is gank possibilities in every single lane here. So he does have a somewhat easy time in trying to find kills. Now, is he going to enjoy going in the 1v1 matchup into Olaf? By any means, no. He definitely does not win that 1v1. And but if you factor in what lanes he's going to be bringing in, beyond that top lane, the top lane 2v2, he should be winning pretty much every other matchup. The Philios Thresh will outdo the Caitlyn Zyra in certain cases. And I think the bot lane matchup really comes down to items on the Philios versus the Caitlyn. But certainly in this mid lane matchup, the Syndra is going to hit harder a lot faster than the Ziggs.
Yeah, and that might be the key to success here. Now, it's not a global, or not a true global, I should say, but Cool Crab, he does have that Mega Inferno Bomb to clear side lane waves and to contribute, whereas Alex Carino does not. So a little bit more of that pressure going to be given back to Omega Gaming Banditos. In general, I got to ask before we hit the delay, who are you going to take in this game to win it, knowing that these teams have kind of been swapped around and Omega Gaming Banditos looking a little bit better?
I still have to favor the side of World Class Blank because they, again, get the Ornn, Syndra, Philios. 3 champions that they ran in the previous game and really ran away with as well. They get all 3 of those champions. They're feeling very comfortable here. But I do have to show some love to Zyra because she is my favorite champion. So while I think World Class Blank will win the game, I have eyes on Zyra.
Want World Class Blank to win, but want the Zyra to win as well. I love it. We are going to be hopping into our spectator delay before too long, but before we go, we want to talk to you a little bit about Kono. If you're looking to take your game to the next level, it all starts with your peripherals. From keyboards to keycaps, mice, and more, our friends at Kono have got you covered. Kono works with the world's best designers, inventors, and makers to bring you some of the best gaming peripherals around. They've been huge supporters of us here at Upsurge and have made generous contributions to our prize pools. If you need to find a new keyboard, check out the Hexgears X1 RGB low-profile Bluetooth mechanical keyboard. You can use the discount code UpsurgeGG for 7% off your first order. For more information, head over to Kono.store to check out all they have to offer. That's KONO.store. Kono, discover amazing products. And while you're shopping, we'll be in a spectator delay, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll have Omega Gaming Bandito versus World Class Blank. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift. Charge! 30 seconds until minions spawn. Minions have spawned.
Caitlyn Zyra that does want to have a lot of attention given to it. Uh, and on the flip side, the Jarvan, well, he just wants to limit the gank power of the Olaf as much as possible.
Yeah, actually, we see a bit of an interesting start here. This will be a Trick starting on the top side, taking away his red buff, but Slacking will start on the blue buff here. So a potential steal away Trick I would expect to try and run immediately for the red side, but he doesn't actually know it was taken. So he's going to walk towards the bottom side, realize that there's no buff camp here, and that's a pretty early advantage gain for Slacking.
And it's a little bit of an interesting play coming out here, although it looks like they're going to get trying to get bot lane priority and then collapse. Oh, wait.
Yeah, here we go. Blue Caboose is in, and Trick is going to flash forward for the play, but he is flashed away from Civil, so an attempt to be the opposite side of the map, and that's going to go awry, which means Slacking gets to take the blue, he gets to take the Gromp, and he gets to go back to farm his whole jungle.
Yeah, and this is actually a huge play in the grand scheme of things because of the fact that now Trick, he doesn't get to vertical jungle even though he had full knowledge because of the fact that Alex Carino did put a ward over that blue buff wall to get knowledge that they were starting the blue buff, and now he is just going to be slowed down quite a bit. He could have hand shook the vertical jungling, play topside, try and get a early kill onto this Maokai, which definitely can happen early on with how much damage that a Jarvan has, at least level 2 and 3, but instead they try and go for a Hail Mary play in the bottom lane. So all things considered, a good start for the side of Omega Gaming.
Yeah, Omega Gaming, they are able to take that, and we gave Omega Gaming Banditos a little bit of crap in the previous game for being a little too clever with their draft. This time around, though, it's Trick who's being a little too clever for his own good, saying, oh, well, you're going to take my blue, you'll expect vertical jungles, you'll never expect me to walk bot lane at level 2. But the Thresh has no flay, the Aphelios has no crowd control, so at the end of the day, it's just a flash for a flash, and he is going to be at a severe disadvantage. So Trick looking to maybe try and get some of this back if he can find a crab, if he can find a couple of camps to steal away.
Yeah, and now it's just about tracking where they are going to be looking for their follow-up plays. Trick actually with the blue buff available, so Slacking allows Trick to still get all his camps he wants. He clears out his bottom side and he doesn't go and try and put attention topside. So the big mistake that happens doesn't actually yield a huge punish for Slacking.
Yeah, so Slacking may be figuring, oh, well, it's already gone, right? Does it actually go to take that camp? So Trick, not as punished, so everything we just talked about, ignore that, put it out of your mind, because Trick is definitely back in this game now that he secured that blue buff. So definitely going to be looking for Slacking, though he's pathed back to the bottom side of the map. They might be looking to go for this early Drake, the same thing that World Class Blank did in the previous game. Hold that thought, A-Hop under tower, he takes a bunch of damage, but we'll be able to walk out.
Yeah, and nice mechanical play from A-Hop in the fact that he didn't auto attack, which is kind of weird to say, but because of that he is able to just walk away from the tower without proccing the turret aggro. Otherwise definitely would have needed to flash there, and that's going to allow them to continue to pressure this bottom lane, which they are going to have to do as much as they possibly can here.
Yeah, trying to plink away at those plates. They've already broken one, so we'll have a bit of a gold lead here. Trick gonna get spotted up in the river, Slacking with the level advantage, but of course Flag and Drag straight to safety. But the Infernal Drake is here, and Civil and A-Hop have shoved in, so might be able to look to try and get this early up, as it's an Infernal Drake early again.
And early Inferno will help both of these teams because on one hand you have Syndra Aphelios and on the flip side you've got Syndra, Caitlyn, and Ziggs. So the damage dealer is definitely a plenty in this game, and they would love to have themselves that extra 5% of damage.
Yeah, every team, of course, saying, yeah, just give me damage. We want damage. We'll take damage. But also we have Trick, who looks like he is going to start up the Drake here as the recalls are channeled from World Class Banditos bot lane. Ultimate is actually used here from the Ziggs. He's going to take some damage. Cool Crab, though, should be able to walk himself out to safety. He takes some unleashed power from Alex Carino and gets that with just a sliver. So Ultimate's traded back and forth. The Drake is going to be started up. And actually here, we have a lane swap.
Looks like we're going to get early lane swap coming in here, knowing that it is going to be Rift Herald coming up in a minute. So that is something you really want to get as this team from the side of Omega Gaming, because you need to just funnel in as much gold as you can into this Caitlyn, into the Zyra, to make sure that they hit this mid game in a very comfortable position. And well,
yeah, little bit of a harass here from Ahop and Slacking, who are both on the top side, but they won't get much for it but damage. But this tower's under siege. There should be a plate falling on the top side. I believe a plate is going to go down to Blood King in the bottom lane as well. So far this early game macro has been solidly in Omega Gaming Banditos hands.
Yeah, and I'm actually really impressed by this early rotation coming out from this team. Also, credit goes to World Class and the fact that they were actually able to match it without just being at a loss of what to do. But this Rift Herald will certainly be very important to watch, as Slacking is still around in this top side. So if they're able to secure it, that's more gold into the hands of this Zyra pick, more gold into the hands of this Caitlyn pick, and also importantly, less plate gold funneled into this Aphelios.
Exactly. Now, important to note, though, Blood King has used his teleport and Ezregus has not, which does mean that if there is a fight on the top side of the map, Ezregus will be able to join and Blood King can't without having to roam all the way up. So I would expect this Herald to be started up shortly, though. Trick still at a lower level, though, from Slacking, so unlikely to be able to contest successfully, but it is started here. Have to see if Omega Gaming Bandito can secure it. Looks like there will not be a fight. It's actually Ezregus here. He's going all in. He is going to get rooted up, though, so just kind of headbutts awkwardly at Blood King and is forced to walk away in shame. Attempt to make the big play, stuff, and Herald does go down.
Yeah, and it's
Oh, actually, here we go. Trick in the mid lane here. Oh, Stun is going to miss on a Cool Crab, though. Alex Carino, though, he walks all the way in the tower and flashes in, but he takes first blood regardless. Unleashed power takes the Ziggs down. Very nicely done. And so, World Class Blank, they still get something even after giving up that Herald.
yeah, they still get that first blood here. That's going to feel really good for them. And for Cool Crab, he dodges out the stun, but he just walks in range a little bit too much, eats an extra orb, and that's all the damage that Alex Carino needs on Zyra.
Oh, actually, flash forward here onto Ahop, who walks through the box. Oh, he's going to take a ton of damage. Blue Caboose, though, is burning down. He burns down. Now Ahop is falling on the backside here. It's just Aphelios versus Caitlyn, who actually wins this. Navy Caboose, he jukes, but this is going to be the ultimate coming through. He's trying to sustain up a little bit. The minions are giving line of sight. Civil may not have enough. There it is. Caboose walks back in, and he goes down. That's going to be a 2-for-1 in favor of Omega Gaming Banditos. A little aggressive there from the Cabooses.
Yeah, but a big win for this dual lane from the side of Omega Gaming, and the fact that they are able to get these kills. That's more gold into that Zyra, more gold into that Caitlyn.
Oh, hold that thought. Here we go. Bot lane. Trick has found Blood King, who's going to try and knock back Ezregus, and forced to flash at the end of the day. Nothing going, but there were some summoner spells expended there. Ezregus should be able to back away.
Yeah, Blood King in a fairly comfortable position. I kind of expect him to go for a magic resist item now that he has this Balmy Cinder. but it does look like he wants to complete the Sunfire Cave, which I'm not sure how I feel about Hell Might because of the fact that he's into a magic damage lane, and he's also going to be dealing with more of the Syndra pick in the mid game than the Philios. Oh my god.
No, ultimate is actually expended underneath the tower. They are going to be able to take this, pulling them away. Actually, here we go. Ezreal has teleported down. He's on the backside. He's going to get the stun up. Sybil's going to take some damage after flashing. He should be able to go down here. Trick has now joined the fight. Blood King teleporting in as well. But here comes Alex Carino. The ultimate is on the backside. Ezreal has gone down. Ahop is going to get picked up by Alex Carino, but they can't continue the fight. An excellent peel back here from Omega Gaming Banditos, and they should have clearance to go for this next Drake.
Actually, a really great fight from Omega Gaming. Again, they get another kill onto this Caitlyn. Yes, the Zyra goes down, but Zyra is such an easy champion to execute in these team fights. As long as she gets to get that ultimate down and a couple of plants, that's more than enough team fight impact that you're going to get from Zyra. That's pretty much job done. It's like old Annie support, where your sole purpose is to get a 3-man ultimate stun. Beyond that, no one cares.
Root lands on Alex Carino here a little bit. Taking some damage. This is going to be the ultimate channeled, but he survives with the sliver of health. Alex Carino makes it, but we're already seeing how much damage that Caitlyn is doing.
Yeah, and she's going to be able to get more turret plates here in this mid lane as well. They're going to be able to claim one, maybe even a second. But if we look up and down the gold charts, the big difference is just as far as the side of Omega Gaming goes, it's this Zyra. The Zyra is 1,000 gold ahead of the Thresh. Sure, the Thresh doesn't really care about the money, but the Zyra definitely does. And with Zyra at the spot she is, she's getting pretty close to that Leandries. Once she hits that power spike, these team fights around the dragon and Rift Herald area are going to be incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, already going to be doing quite well. And speaking of Drake, the setup is actually coming through here for both of these teams. This will be World Class Blank pushing in onto the pit to try and clear out some vision and maybe set this up. No top laner will be available for this, and if that's the case here, Nightstar, who's actually going to win the fight? Hold that thought. Here we go. Ultimate play again. Ezreal, he gets the knockup this time, but he is rooted by the vines. He actually flashes forward, is going to be able to get the Volcanic Rupture slow. He deals some more damage to Blood King, but he can't take it at the end of the day. This is going to be the pullback to Olaf is forced to go Ragnarok in order to get away, but he gets Cataclysm. Now the ultimate comes through from the Aphelios. They pick up 2 kills on the backside. Mega Inferno Bomb finds nothing. World Class Blank put on a world class showing in that fight. They pick up the second Drake of the game.
And yeah, that's going to be the second dragon for the side of World Class, and that's just it's not what you want. And with Ocean Rift going to be the soul for this game, both of these teams do pack quite a bit of consistent damage, so would love to have Ocean Soul. And now it really just comes down to what these team fights end up playing out. Yes, the team fight still is powerful on the side of Omega Gaming, so you're not hurting too badly with the fact that you lost these 2 dragons, but those 2 dragons are stat drakes, and this next, or getting 4-stack Ocean Soul, well, I mean, Ocean Soul is brilliant, but the Ocean Dragon itself, not as brilliant.
Not quite. Now the attention is going to be rotated here to the top side. The second Herald is going to be taken down now by Omega Gaming Bandito, so attempting to trade objectives for objectives. And if you're World Class Blank here, this game looks so very familiar. You have a lot of the same champions. Yeah. You even have the same Rift. But at the end of the day, the gold lead is so much closer in Game 2 here than it was in Game 1. Omega Gaming Banditos looking to be in fine form here to try and scale this one out.
Yeah, the scaling is pretty good on the side of Omega Gaming. And for World Class, It really just comes down to Alex Carino. He's 4-0. He has the Ludens completed. Once again, just really adapting nicely with his build. And what he's going to be hunting for is just going to be the Zyra for the most part. If they kill Zyra before the team fight happens, that's already team fight won, because that's just so much of their mid-game damage in their disengage. Without that, they just have no way of getting out of situations.
Speaking of Zyra, Ezregas caught up on the top side. Ahop was there. He's going to try and turn the damage back around onto Ahop. He pops the ultimate, but shouldn't be anything he can do. So that's going to be the Ornn down, his ultimate down. And now Omega Gaming Banditos, they should be able to shove up knowing they have the pressure. Slackking still sitting on that Herald. Might try to use it to breach mid.
That'll be the next big question as far as where they put the Rift Herald. Most likely they'll try and wait as long as possible before...
Bit of damage burn on the bottom side, but there won't be a kill again from Alex Carino. In fact, still sitting on that ultimate. Now, Ezregas has respawned as the siege comes through. They are going to trade the ultimate on the top side. Alex Carino actually goes all in and gets the kill. This Herald is summoned up. Ezregas is teleported in. He's getting some damage down to Slacking, who is running for his life. The Volcanic Rupture actually preventing Ezregas from really being able to get further onto him. And Herald is killed without being able to get, I think, any tower damage done. So, damage contained here from World Class Blank.
Yeah, but a huge play coming out from Alex Carino to get that kill now. Cool Crab also forced to use his flash, so he has just no way of getting out of any sticky situation when that next team fight comes around. So extremely vulnerable to the Ornn and the Jarvan ultimates.
Yeah, we'll have to be quite scared in any next team fight. Of course, does have the W just in case. But World Class Blank, you know, haven't talked about them as much because a lot of this has been Omega Gaming Banditos. They've really had a much better game this time around. But World Class Blank, they haven't really given up that much, given how the laning phase and how the rest of the way this early game is shaped up hasn't really been favoring them the same way it did in Game 1.
Yeah, they haven't just been able to snowball this game out of control like they were able to in game number 1. So already, if you are the side of Mega Gaming, you're feeling very comfortable because you've been able to hit some of your target items. The only concern at the moment really just is this Ziggs and the fact that, well, Ziggs just cannot match up against this Syndra. And yes, Ziggs can still have pretty good effectiveness because you are able to throw damage out from very long range. But Syndra's just so powerful. If she even sees or sniffs that Ziggs, he's just gone.
Yeah, now Cool Crab, speaking of the Ziggs, is in the bottom lane. He's trying to hold onto this tower that dies if a minion looks sideways at it. And Ezregas is going to get caught out. He's bullied away from the pit. Actually, the Drake has already been started, though. And here comes the Maokai ultimate into the Ornn ultimate. They're trying to interrupt things. Slacking is finally going to try and look for it. But here comes the ult onto Trick, who survives barely, but he is in no ability to go for this Drake fight. Blood King on the front line here. He does get on a Navy Caboose, who's forced to burn his flash in order to escape. Blue Caboose and Alex Carino looking to end this fight here.
Oh my God.
Over the side with the stopwatch. This is going to be blue team picking up the Drake here, but they are not able to take this fight. Here comes Slacking. He's flashing on the front side. Blue Caboose is going to be able to take the kill on Ahop. A double kill now for Alex Carino picking up Slacking. All of a sudden, Cool Crab is the only survivor on Banditos. They're able to take the Drake, but at what cost?
Yeah, they're able to secure Dragon, but they lose pretty much everyone, and it's not a great look because that fight was somewhat promising. They were able to get a lot of chip damage down onto the targets onto the players of World Class Blank, but then their attention just got split. You saw Blood King, he went forward onto the Philios, whereas everyone else, they peeled back towards Ezregas on this Ornn. They were trying to finish off the Ornn, but the moment Maokai jumped in, they immediately had to change their plans, but they were too far away to actually be able to finish off Navy Caboose. And as a result, they end up getting everyone low, but I am unable to finish any of those kills.
Yeah, it was world-class blank, playing around the low health bars very well. AM Trick flashed out of that fight with about 20 health to spare and went all the way back in with Cataclysm to help secure that. Now, this is going to be some towers traded around the map. The bottom and mid lane towers for Omega Gaming Banditos did go down, but world-class blank will give up their bottom lane tower and their mid lane tower here as well. So, trading back across the map here, but a 2,000 gold lead now exists for world-class blank.
Yeah, 2,000 gold lead exists for world-class blank, but a 3.6k gold lead exists for Alex Carino. And not to mention, I'd like to point out, he has 22 stacks onto a Medjay as well.
Yeah, gonna be putting down a lot of damage with that. That's exactly what you hate to see in solo queue is you're like, okay, who fed the Syndra? Why is she pressing R on me and my health bar disappears?
Yeah, and now, like, the core 3 members here, the Ziggs, Caitlyn, Zyra, they just cannot come even remotely close to this Syndra, or they're just dead, as we might get to see.
Yeah,
Good disengage.
Yeah, good satchel from Cool Crab keeps him safe from the ravages of Alex Carino. And I do want to mention here as well, 22 minutes into the game, it wasn't relevant in the last game due to just how far ahead world-class blank were, but we do have Baron alive on the map here, 22 minutes in, and I think both these teams have to be looking as actually Siddle, he gets hit by the Hulk and forced to flash away here, so keeps his life, but loses that all-important summoner spell.
Another flash gone means another target for this Syndra. That pretty much is going to be the storyline here. Syndra also almost level 16, so about to hit the peak of her powers. She is... Wait.
Oh, speaking of the peak of her powers, goodbye, Cool Crab. One stun and he goes down. Feels bad, and that does also give world-class blank maybe the opportunity to set up for this Baron.
Yeah, this Syndra is so strong! Level 15, more than 2 levels ahead of anyone else in the game. That is just an absurd lead gathered by this Syndra pick. And
oh, actually, hold that thought. We're on the backside here. Stiddle actually already used his dash, so he is going to get locked up into Cataclysm. He's going to get knocked up by the Horn, but he is still alive, trying to kite backwards. The Ignite finally takes him down, and meanwhile, the fight is going front to back here for world-class flank. They are going to get the kill under the Jarvan, but the fight is going to get disengaged. A-Hop over the side. Alex Carino actually flashing forward. He is not going to quite take the kill yet. There it goes. Electricity comes through. He goes legendary. That's going to be 2 for 1 here in favor of world-class blank. They did lose their jungler, so no Baron, but they might be able to look at the mid lane. Cool Crab is there to clear it out.
yeah, so the one benefit of this composition, even though they are this far behind, 3,000 gold behind to be exact, is the fact that they have Cool Crab on the Ziggs. And Ziggs does Ziggs things and should be able to stall out the game relatively well if he's still alive. Of course, when Alex Carino gets his ultimate, that's always in jeopardy. But when Syndra doesn't have ultimate, should be very safe to just be able to wave clear. However, third dragon should just go in favor of world-class blank, and we should be looking at
yeah, they will be able to pull it out here. This is going to be the smite down now. This is going to be a hook landing on a Blood King, who is not who you really want to grab. A-Hop is going to take a stun on the backside here, and he will survive. There's going to be Nature's Grasp used from Blood King to successfully disengage. They will try to take the mid lane priority here, but that third Drake did go the way of world-class blank here, and now they're sitting on Soul Point. As Omega Gaming Banditos, they try to shove up this mid lane.
I thought for a moment there that the side of Omega Gaming were going to be looking for that roam over
hold that
to
thought.
the Baron.
Bazooka boost in the bad spot, forced to flash away. Teleport now channeled here from Ezreal. This is going to be Cataclysm from Trick. He's locked up Blood King, who again isn't really what you want. Ezreal still gets the knock up on the backside here, and Alex Carino goes legendary. He kills the Caitlyn, and now Navy Caboose has picked up Blood King. A great Zyra ult is going to prevent the team from following, but Ahop is on a run for his life. Slacking is chunked out. Baron has to be in the eyes of world-class blank here. They'll clean out the vision. They will go for the start here. That looked like Caboose was in a bad spot, but the rest of his team said, no, we got you, homie.
Yeah, it really just comes down from a great teleport from both of these solo laners being in position. And I mean, with just how strong Alex Carino is, it's just oh, what to say, Hellmite?
I can tell you what to say here. Look at both the mid laners. On one hand, you have a no stack Darkseal. On the other hand, you have a 25 stack Magi Soul Stealer. That tells you, I think, about all we need to know about Alex Carino versus Cool Crab this time around.
Yeah, and instead of going something like the Death Cap, which he definitely could go for, instead he opts for the Banshee's Veil. So not only does he understand that he's more than strong enough to just annihilate everyone on the side of Omega Gaming, he decides to just get defensive itemization to just make it even harder to just target him out and claim that 1,000 gold bounty.
Yeah, keeping those stacks intact, keeping the bounty intact, as the team will start up the 4-1 split push here. Trick is going to get some damage down to Slacking, but takes about as much as he deals. The rest of the team will be rotating around, but I doubt they'll find much. Ahop takes a big chunk. That Syndra is scary. And the rest of the team will be looking to try and collapse on the bot side here. This is the Ornn rotating up, and world-class blank, they smell blood in the water right now.
Oh yeah, you better believe that they smell blood here, as Ahop is going to...
Never mind, what were you saying about Ahop? He goes down. This is going to be Cataclysm of the Blood King. Alex Carino, he's trying to get focused down, but he does not go down. A 3-man route now from Aphelios. Navy Caboose, he's flashing the wall. He's going for Civil. He takes that kill. Meanwhile, you have Ezregas picking up Cool Crab on the backside. Blood King is the only one running for his life. He goes down. The box gets used as an afterthought from Blue Caboose. They go to grab the wave, and Nightstar, I think it's safe to say this game is over.
Yeah. That is incredibly safe to say, because the Death Hammers are, while not super long, since the Zyra will be up and along with the Olaf, but the fact of the matter is they just don't have the ability to stop this push. So that's going to be a 2-0 upper bracket victory here. Yeah, congratulations.
World-class blank. 3 minutes later than their previous win, they are going to be able to shut out Omega Gaming Banditos. They will steal the victory from the Banditos, and they will move on here in bracket. That was a beautiful first match.
Yeah, a beautiful first playoff series on the stream, and I think we all know who the man of the match was for that game.
Yeah, ordinarily, I would ask you for an MVP, but I don't think we need to discuss it this time around. Alex Carino, huge showing in both these games on the Syndra. Huge damage in that second game, especially in putting the rest of the team on his shoulders. Very nicely done. And that is actually going to be it for us tonight, guys. Thank you all so very much for tuning in. We do appreciate it. So from myself, Joe Helmai Silva, and my co-caster tonight, of course, Frank Nightstar Peng, thank you all for tuning in. We are going to be back streaming again on Tuesday with the UPL, Maryville Esports versus Mirage Esports. Same place, same time, so don't forget to tune into that. Once again, thank you all so very much for watching, and we'll see y'all later.
Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love. downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love, you say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason